I'm Amy J. Dyck. I make artwork that weaves together all sorts of different styles and materials in order to create really complex and nuanced figures or beings that reflect our internal selves, or my internal self, what you might call the internal psychological landscape. My work is strongly autobiographical, so I use my own body a lot as a jumping off point in the work. I photograph it, draw it, cut it up, collage pieces and parts of it together or take them apart, or alter it digitally and use it as a reference for oil paintings or mixed media sculptures. Then I add other elements that fit the idea or the feeling that I'm exploring. So you'll see bits of monsters and animals in ambiguous forms or ghosts. I merge realism with abstraction, physical forms with mysterious ones, real with imagined, as this complexity and chaos feels more true to my experience of being alive than just painting what I see in front of my eyes. I use my work to explore what it can look like to find power in a body when this body is not strong, what forms resilience actually take, when struggle helps and when it hurts, what it means to protect oneself or show oneself compassion or take care of oneself, and how we accept and move forward just as we are. It's pretty normal for siblings, I think, to compete with each other. That's how I think we figure out who we are and find our place in the family. So I was pretty competitive with my twin brother, who happens to be good at pretty much everything that there is to be good at. He is good at them and better than me, except for one thing. It turns out I'm better, it seems, at making art than him. Now, of course, more recently, he's been picking that up and doing really well, of course, but I've already stuck my claim in here, so I'm sticking with it. There's nothing like having your own child to teach you what it is that really matters to you for, I think, several reasons. One of which is babies take all your time and energy, and I think they help you to notice the things that you miss the most. And so for me, that was art. I did art when I could before I had children. I liked it. I knew it was helpful, but I didn't realize how badly I needed it until I had a child and I had no more time or energy, and I started to crave it and fight for it. And that's actually when my art practice really took root. I'm inspired by so many artists, contemporary and from the past. I've got sketchbooks full of artworks that I have taped in there and then written about what it is I love about them, what is it that's doing the composition, what the colors choices that they made are, just so I can figure out what it is that they've done and what it is that moves me about it, because sometimes something is moving, but I don't know why. An artist that I love is Kathy Kolwitz. She did these beautiful images of families, especially during the war, I believe, when there's a lot of poverty and loss. And I found that her work really speaks to me. It really speaks to me emotionally. And so one of my favorite things about her work, as far as I can tell, is that she's a beautiful draftsman, but then she's willing to sacrifice some of that realism for the marks and the lines and the shapes that will make you feel something. So the feeling seems more important than the marks. And I find that really inspiring, and I utilize that in my work too. I'm really interested in creating work as a way to explore the ways that we are complex people, the ways that we are resilient and strong. How do we find our strength? How do we find our resilience when things are hard? And what does that look like in us psychologically? How do those things shape us and change us and make us different? That's where my work has been focused for the last about 6 or so years. The last 2 years, I've been focusing on exploring what it would look like to have these creatures that I make, or these characters, I suppose, or these beings that are really complex and nuanced and strange. What happens if I bring them out of their worlds into our world, into the physical world? So I've been playing with ways to introduce them to our landscapes and also to rooms through sculpture. So I've been doing a lot of different sculptural experiments with fabric and metal and wood and also ceramic and whatever else I can get my hands on. One of the biggest challenges I've had with my art practice is discovering my own, I'll call it voice, I guess, and then learning to trust it. It's really easy to compare ourselves with other artists, and at times it's actually useful to do that, but there are also times when it's more useful to be quiet and then silence the critic in our head and start to learn how to trust our intuition and to take risks that feel good. And the more I've learned how to do that, the more opportunities I've gotten and the more interesting my work has gotten. Have I tried any unconventional materials? Yes, I have. I've also had a lot of fun with different supplies. So I've done watercolor and encaustics and pastels and oil paints and acrylics and charcoal drawings and graphite drawings and all the kind of classical methods. And then I've tried painting with smoke because that's the thing that some people do, and I wanted to see what it would be like. That almost led to a studio fire, so that never actually happened again. I have also tried a whole bunch of different materials. So I do a lot of mixed media collages. So I've had a lot of fun just pulling in things that maybe are unconventional, but really get the point across a little better than other things, or at least I think they do. So I have collaged with a dead spider. I've collaged with a yogurt lid that happened to have a bunch of paint on it that I really liked. And so I put them behind the scene there. Lots of different, I've used socks in my artwork. I've used old dish rags. So yes, I've used a lot of unconventional materials and they keep it really fun. When it comes to music in the studio, I usually like music a lot, although I find that I change a lot. My mood changes, my work changes. So I sometimes will have soft, like meditative music, and then sometimes I will switch to folkier music. I have once or twice put on heavy metal. That might not be repeated, but that I did that for a while. Let's see. I love podcasts on occasion, and then sometimes I just really love the quiet. So it just depends on my mood. I think when people look at my work, I hope that they come away with, or they leave with a sense, maybe a bit more permission to be who they are, complex and nuanced and wild. I hope that they come away with maybe the ability to take themselves a little bit less seriously, maybe laugh about it a little bit, but also to look at themselves and other people and just appreciate the ways that they and others have had to change and adapt, and the strength that they've developed over time, the ways that they've become more because of the things that they've experienced. I hope that they see their own resilience, I guess, their own adaptations, their own power reflected back at them.